Chair, it's come up on my screen that it's live on YouTube.
Thank you. We'll just wait for Lauren to give us the okay.
We're live now, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Rochester District Council's Remote Standards Committee meeting, and welcome to anybody watching this via the live stream. So if we can turn to the agenda, please, this evening. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence. I understand apologies for absence have been received from Councillor Mike Steptoe. Is there anyone else, please?
No, everybody else is present, Chairman.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, substitute members. Councillor David Merrick will be substituting for Councillor Mike Steptoe. Agenda item number 3, are there any non-members attending? Lauren, is there anyone?
There are none, Chairman.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4, minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of September 2020. Are the minutes agreed, members? If anybody has any disagreement with the minutes, could they please raise their hand icon? If not, we will take that as read. I'm just checking. No one has indicated. So those minutes are agreed. Thank you, members. Agenda item number 5, to receive declarations of interest. Did a member indicate then or speak?
No, sorry, that's my dog smashing through the door.
Thank you, Stan. Okay. Agenda item number 5, to receive declarations of interest. Members, are there any declarations of interest, please? If so, please indicate using your hand icon. No declarations, thank you. Agenda item number 6 is the Local Investigations and Determinations Report, October 2020 to March 2021. Angela Law, our monitoring officer, will present this report. Over to you, Angela.
So apologies, Chairman. You think I know how to unmute by now, wouldn't you? Thank you, Chairman. Yes, this is the second report to the committee detailing all complaints and queries that have been received by myself, the monitoring officer. Appended to the report, you will see a table listing out currently six complaints. Yes, 6 complaints, 3 of which are still to be determined. I'm happy to take any questions on this, Chairman. The decision is for the report to be noted this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Members, have you got any questions? Please raise your hand if you have. Any questions for our officer?
Chairman, Councillor Gooding is indicating.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Gooding, would you like to ask your question, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wondered if I could get some clarification on how, are you able to advise me how it's determined if a councillor is acting in the capacity as a councillor or a member of public?
Councillor Mrs. Gooding, are you referring to an item on the report? Item
Well,
number?
yeah, one item on item 6.1 and number 3.
Thank you. Angela, are you able to answer that, please?
Without going into the detail of the complaint, the arrangements for dealing with complaints are in our constitution, and as the law stands and as case law supports that, councillors do have a right to a private life, and with regard to determining whether it's in the capacity, it is a case of taking into consideration the context, the situation and the facts of the case. It is a judgment call. it's no black and white. There's no black and white rule. It just depends on each merit of the case.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, Councillor Mrs Gooding?
Marginally, yes.
Well, is there any other question that you had then?
Thank you. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Councillor Mr Hoy, I think your question was next, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Apologies. I think this is probably the first time I've been on this committee, surprisingly. So I might be asking questions which everyone else knows the answer to. So
That's absolutely fine.
That is the case. Items 4, 5 and 6 are to be determined. Does that mean just that it's been to be determined whether there's a case to answer, or that they've been pushed further along the process and they're still being considered? That's the first.
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Hoy. Yeah, no. For clarification, the 3 cases at the moment are still in the initial summary stages as to whether there is action to follow. It's not actually gone any further than that yet.
Okay, thank you. And the second question might be along the same lines as Councillor Mrs Gooding, but I noticed on item 3 we have no further action on the basis that the subject of the complaint was not acting in the capacity of councillor at the time. I don't particularly have a problem with that. I can understand that's the decision made. Was that made by you as the monitor officer before it went any further, or was there an involvement of an independent person to decide that, or was it moved on further into the process?
No, that was a decision by me. It was it didn't need to go any further because it wasn't acting in the capacity as a councillor. And
sorry, just the final question then, and forgive, I'm not being rude. It probably sounds rude. Because I'm new to this complaints process, and I think I should understand it properly, which is why I'm asking these questions. I assume, therefore, that you are fully satisfied that to my mind, that if you're deciding that's something which I thought would have been decided further along the process. Is it? Are there some circumstances where you might find, was it in your opinion so clear cut that they weren't acting in that capacity that you could decide? If normally it might be more of a 50-50 balance, shall we say, on the balance of probabilities, that you weren't quite sure, would that be passed further along the complaints process, or would this always be decided by you before pushing it any further?
Yeah, so generally, Councillor Hoy, and based on in this particular case, there was a clear-cut information given to me that based on the facts that I've seen and evidence that I've seen, that this gentleman councillor wasn't acting in the capacity in his official capacity as a parish councillor. If it was 50-50, not so clear-cut, you're right, I would be. I mean, generally these complaints would be passed to an independent person and have their view, but in this case there was, in my opinion, a clear-cut case there.
Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, sorry, I managed to mute myself during the answer. Yeah, thank you. That makes it a little bit clearer for me and a bit more understandable. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mr Chris Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman. Just one sort of observation was how long does the process take from initial correspondence to your decision at the end, Angela? It just seems that people are being, to me, it looks like people are being held in sort of abeyance, if you like, on nervous grounds, if you like, if any action is going to be taken. I just wondered if what the length of time is, if that's a possible question to ask.
We do aim to respond within the month. However, it depends on the facts of the case. It depends on resources at the time. I couldn't give you an actual exact timeline because some depending on the evidence given and depending on the facts of the case, it can be black and white. Sometimes it's not so black and white, and it takes time for judgment and running past the independent person for their views. So We do aim to get it done within, that's the initial stages, that's the initial summary stage, as Councillor Hoy is referring to. And then if it was to go to further investigation, it really depends on what the investigator will be looking at, how many witnesses are coming forward for interview and so forth. So we couldn't give you a time on that, depending on how complex the case is as well.
Thank you. Councillor Mr Stanley, does that answer your question? Councillor Stanley?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Miss Marriott, please. Are you okay? Can you unmute?
Right. Hello, can you hear me now?
We can.
All it is I notice there's a common thread with some of these complaints that it's about conduct on social media. We had a very good course recently on ways of communicating on social media. Is it possible that there's going to be some training after May on conduct on social media, because there seems to be a lot of complaints on that particular aspect?
Thank you, Chairman. We do have annual training, and it is focused around social media. The council has also got a policy on social media, so there is annual training out there. And unfortunately, I think because of the past year we've had, with no physical human contact, I think social media is the main channel of communication at the moment. So, but it is on the rise. I do agree with Councillor Ms Marriott there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mr Hoy, have you got your hand back up, or is it a historic hand?
I did put it back up again. Thank you, Chairman. If that's okay, if I come back. It's another question which occurred to me on the back of Councillor Stanley's questions. The report in our agenda, the report says it's for complaints raised between two certain dates. Are there, and on this there are 3 cases to be determined, are there any cases before this which still have to be determined, or are those 3 the only ones still to be determined?
These are the 3 that are to be determined. There's no outstanding from the last report. Okay,
so there's only 3. Thank you. And generally, would outstanding ones from a previous report be included, even though if they were still outstanding?
They would be, yes, they would be included.
Even though they were complained for in the previous?
Yes, whether it be by notifying members an individual email just to know the noting, or whether it be within the next report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Gooding.
Well, yeah, just to follow up, Chairman, on Councillor Miss Marriott's question on training. District councillors receive training. I wonder if parish councillors receive the same social media training, or should they? Because that's obviously an area that needs to be looked at, I believe.
Chairman, the training is offered to parish councils, and the clerks are made aware of the training.
Thank you, Angela. I believe that there is also training they can take themselves through the local government association. Right, has anybody else got any hands raised? I can't see any before I ask my question. Oh, Linda, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I'm an independent person. I just wonder, given the stresses and strains of being in lockdown that we've all suffered one way or another, whether you've seen an increase in the number of cases coming forward. I know we've probably all seen on the news the unfolding saga of what's been going on in that parish council in Cheshire, and there was another one as well somewhere, I think. I just wondered if there'd been an increase in allegations because of behaviour probably accentuated by lockdown.
I don't think the complaints have increased itself, but the type of complaints, as Councillor Marriott has said, it's probably social media based rather than actual in physical meetings, if that makes sense. But in my opinion, I don't think the complaints have increased by a great amount.
Thank you. Have you any other question or follow-up question, Linda?
No, that's fine. That's just a bit reassuring, I think, for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. That was actually quite an important question at the moment, because a lot of how we're interacting with the public has been pushed online during this pandemic. So yeah, no wonder there's sort of been an increase regarding social media. I've got one question, I think. It's regarding item 3 again, and it's really following up on Councillor Mr Hoy's question, that obviously you yourself, Angela, determined the outcome of this item. You said based on the evidence that you had seen. So my question is, do you go back to the complainant at all and ask them if they have any additional evidence, or have they got supplementary evidence at all?
There are cases where I will go back to the complainant to explain or clarify their complaint. In this case, there was evidence to allow me to determine that the subject of complaint was not acting in the capacity of councillor. However, complainants are entitled to come back at any time if they do have any new evidence or further evidence, or if they have any new complaints.
And that's conveyed to them at the time, is it?
It's not. Do you know? Sorry, Gemma, I can't remember what I write in my response letters. It is conveyed to them if they're not happy that they can take the matter further.
Thank you. It's just as Councillor Mr Hoy pointed out, some of the technicalities around this we're not familiar with ourselves. Therefore, some of the members of the public or members outside of this arena might not be as clear with them as well.
Yes, Chairman, I appreciate that, and obviously it's difficult to explain technicalities when the evidence and basis of complaints is to be kept confidential at these stages. It's hard to explain how I make a judgment call without going too deep into what kind of evidence I've seen.
Thank you. I think we've got one more question. It's Councillor Mr Lucas-Gill.
Thank you, Chair. Angela, is there any course of appeal against your decision?
No, Chairman, there's no appeal against my decision.
Is that right, do you think?
You're asking for my opinion as to whether it's right. It's what's in our constitution. It's what's in our arrangements. There's no legal requirement to have an appeal system in place. They can go to the local government ombudsman to take the matter further.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I can't see anybody indicating. So at the bottom of page 6.1, there is a recommendation, one recommendation, that the summary of the complaints and determinations for the period October 2020 to March 2021 be received. Is that noted, members? Please raise your hand icon if you're not happy with that. Councillor Mrs Carter.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just one of the things I'd like to bring to your attention, just a consideration on 3.2. It's in regards to the raised hand for the ICOM in a full council meeting. Is that okay to say something about that?
I don't think that that's appropriate on this meeting. It's not on the agenda. Officers? No, I'm just seeking guidance from officers. It's not an agenda item, Councillor Mrs Carter.
I'm sorry, I thought it was to do with the, where is it? What does it say on there? It's all to do with the urgent decisions to be made. Is that not this meeting?
Chairman, there is no item around urgent decisions for this evening's meeting. That would be a matter for council to note.
Chairman, I believe there's a slight misunderstanding. I believe the urgent decisions is just in reference to why this meeting is a remote meeting and how we came about to having remote meetings. It's just for information purposes, Chairman.
Thank you. Yes, I thought so. Okay, so again, I'll just run through at the bottom of page 6.1. There is one recommendation that the summary of complaints and determinations for the period October 2020 to March 2021 be received. Is that noted, members? I see no raised hand icon, so I will take it that that is noted. That then concludes the meeting. Thank you everybody for attending, and I declare that the meeting is closed at 7:52 by my clock. Have a good evening everybody, and keep safe, and hopefully we'll meet post lockdown next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night all.